story begins, we see that there is a little girl who was a slow learner and used to stammer a lot. Slow learner is somebody who is not able to grasp all the things like a normal person does, like a normal person with a normal IQ does. And stammering means when somebody takes long pauses when they are speaking. So stammering is when somebody say a lot. Okay, they take a huge gap even to say a single word. So that is stammering. So she used to stammer and she was a slow learner. But why she was a slow learner? Because when in her childhood she fell off from her coat and a part of her brain was damaged. When she was just at that point of her life, she fell off and a part of her brain was damaged. Now if you see it, what is coat? Coat is basically a small bed which is for babies, where babies they usually sleep. Now, and she also contracted smallpox at 2. So when she turned 2, she came in contact with smallpox, and her whole face was covered with the marks which the smallpox actually leaves. So we can see that she was not having good brain, she was not intelligent, and moreover she was not even pretty because her whole face was covered with a smallpox mark. Now Sulekha, her actual name was Sulekha, it was not Bholi. Bholi was name given to her because she was very simple and she was very innocent. Now Sulekha was the youngest of Ramlal's 7 children. So her father name was Ramlal, who had 7 children, and Sulekha was the youngest among all. Now Ramlal, being a father, was very worried for her marriage. He was very worried how to get her married. And if you think of that time, at that time marriage was a greater concept. Even in Indian society, if we talk of it, in today's world, not in the cities but in some part of the villages, marriage is a real concern for girls. Parents or the society, they don't think of educating girls, they don't think of giving a better future, but they want their girl to get married. So as soon as they turn 18, they are being married. But now the age has obviously changed. Now for girls, it is also 21. Now if we see it other ways, now Ramlal, why he was worried for his daughter? Because first of all, his daughter was having a dumb mind. She could not understand a lot of things because she was a slow learner. She was not having brain of that of a normal person, and she was ugly. Why she was ugly? She had an ugly face because of the poke marks. As I told you, she contracted with smallpox and marks were all over her face, which made her look very ugly. And that's why Ramlal was always worried about her marriage. Now one day, after like few years, what happens is the story shifts forwards and we see that there is one primary school which is being opened in their village that is only for the girls. Now girls were only there, it was only girls school, and it was first girls primary school. Now see how shocking it is that we live in a society, they live in a village where there is no school for girls. So obviously girls were not educated in their village. Clearly we can see that. Now it was first primary school, so there came a tehsildar for the inauguration, and he persuaded Ramlal to send his daughters to girls primary school. So he asked Ramlal that as he has a good reputation and he should also send his girls to school. Now education at that time plus education for girls in village was a huge thing. You need to understand this concept. Aaj ke date mein if we talk about education is very normal for girls. We see that there are many girls who go to school, but ratio, if we talk about ratio, it is still less. But in villages, girls were not allowed to go to school. Now there was one reason behind this, because people used to think if a girl is educated, then it's not possible for her to get married. So because for a girl to live in a family, a further family, for an educated girl, people believe that an educated girl cannot take good care of their family. So that's why education for a girl who wanted to get married was likely be impossible. Now that's the reason Ramlal did not want his daughters to get married and get education, because nobody would actually marry his daughter. Log darte the with educated girls because they used to think that if a girl is educated, she cannot take care of family well. Now Ramlal, he wanted to send his girl because of his reputation, so he thought of sending Bholi to school. Now, why he sent Bholi to school? Because he thought otherwise also nobody is going to marry this girl, because she was so dumb, she did not have brain at all, and she did not even looked pretty. So he was so sure that nobody is going to marry this girl. So that's why he thought, let's send this to school. Let's send this Bholi to school, and other girls should remain at home uneducated, so that they can get married and have a great future. Now, as soon as we see that Ramlal is all set to send Bholi to school, and he told Bholi that she will be going away from her house. Now, Bholi was very afraid of leaving her house. Firstly, she never went anywhere alone. She has only been in her house with the people she know, and it was very different experience altogether for Bholi. So, Bholi was very afraid of leaving her house. She did not want to go to school. She was all stressed about how she is going to manage everything, how she will be acting in school, how she will actually be meeting new people. She was very afraid of it. But there was something, Bholi knew it for sure, that school is something that is going to change her life. Why? Because as soon as she takes admission in school, she sees the behavior of her parents was changing. Earlier, her parents never paid any attention to Bholi. Bholi used to wear very bad clothes, dirty clothes. Her hair were also very messy all the time. And her parents never bothered about it. Her parents only used to take care of the other siblings, but never paid attention to this girl, because they thought, ye to aise hi hai, because she is not a normal person. So that's why they never treated her well. Bholi was, for the first time in her life, she was being treated well. She was being taken care of. She was all dressed in neat clothes when it was the final day, when she has to go to school. So at that day, she was all dressed up very beautifully. Her hair was neatly combed, and she even took bath that day. So she understood for sure that there is something going to be good. There is something good, it's coming on her way, because her parents started paying attention to her. Now, we can clearly see that she was a neglected child. She was never given the love and affection that she deserved. Especially if we talk about people who are not normal, or especially disabled people, or people who are very slow learners, who are not equal to normal people, they need some extra attention and love and care in order to grow. These people, they need some extra attention, but on the other hand, instead of giving attention, her parents completely neglected her. That's one of the major reasons that her self-confidence started degrading. She was not at all confident in her life. She was never confident, because her parents never gave that to her. Now, as she entered the classroom, we see that Bholi, again her teacher asked her that what is your name. Now, Bholi, who stammers a lot, is unable to even speak her name clearly. She says bha 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 bho bho bho. So she's not able to speak her name in one go. At this point, we see the teacher was such a kind human being. Instead, where every other kid was laughing in her class, teacher made everybody quiet and asked her to speak it, try it again. So we can say that from the beginning of her journey to the school, her teacher started motivating her very well. Her teacher started encouraging her, and she also encouraged her to study, because her teacher told her that study is the only medium where she will be able to speak with confidence. And that's why her teacher encouraged her all the way, and she motivated her to learn and speak. So as she motivated her, her teacher also handed her a book that was a very basic A to Z book, where all the animals are drawn, which we usually give to, which you might have also seen in your nursery class or pre-nursery, where there's a very small book which has pictures and alphabets, and it's written A, and then under it it's written apple, then it is B, then ball. So this way her teacher started from a very basic. She started from very basic, telling Bholi to start reading from a basic. First of all, start from word, then she'll jump to a sentence, then phrase, then full paragraph. So that's how that was the strategy of her teacher in order to make her speak and learn. On further note, we see that Bholi continues her studies, like she was studying and she continued it. She did not leave school at all, and then the same thing happened. Now we see the story moves forward after a few years, and there's a time lapse. Bholi, who we see in the beginning, has completely changed now. She is able to speak sentences, she is able to speak, and she knows what is right and wrong, which we will be seeing further. But her parents are still not aware of it. Her parents still used to neglect her. That's why she's not even aware. They are not even aware how well Bholi has changed and learned. Now the village, as time has passed, after a few years, the village has become a small town. Earlier, which was a small village, it has become a town. And as her Bholi has become an adult now, she also received an offer of marriage from a widower. Now, she received an offer of marriage from a widower who was lame but was rich. And he did not even ask for any dowry. Now see that at that period of time, and people who belong to like such village, who were like from such background, and Ramlal, if you think of Ramlal, he was very sure his daughter is never going to be married. So for Ramlal, having a proposal for Bholi was a complete yes. Without even thinking it twice, it was complete yes. Even if the person was not a widower or was not that rich, still Ramlal's answer would be yes, because he was eagerly waiting that if he gets a chance, he would get his daughter married. Now, Bholi was not happy with the proposal, because first of all, he was a widower, and secondly, the age gap between Bholi and Bishambar, who was the groom, was huge. So that's why Bholi was not happy with the marriage proposal, but nobody asked her. Nobody even asked if she was ready or not. They just fixed the marriage. Ramlal and his wife fixed the marriage, and then we see that it was marriage day without even taking Bholi's consent. Now, clearly Bholi was not happy, but even the parents were not very satisfied with the marriage proposal. But as the boy was rich, everybody was happy. Even Bholi's sister, they were happy, and they are telling that you are very lucky because you are getting a rich man who is not asking for any dowry. So irrespective of all his negative qualities, they are just seeing that he is rich, he is not asking for dowry, so let's get her married. Now we see that it is the day of the marriage. On that particular day, now the story has again moved forward. Now they both are doing all the marriage rituals. So all the marriage rituals are going on. In between, groom Bishambar is able to manage to see Bholi's marked face. He is able to see how many marks are there on her face, and Bishambar decides that he'll not get married to Bholi. And even if he will get married, there is one condition, and that is 5,000 rupees as a dowry. So earlier we see that Bishambar did not ask for dowry, and now he is asking, because earlier Bishambar thought he is getting a very good deal, that he is getting a good girl, and he is getting a beautiful face girl, and who is very young to him, at a very good deal. So but now when he realized that Bholi was not pretty, so he asked for dowry, and that was 5,000 rupees. Now 5,000 rupees was a great amount at that time in a village. So Ramlal, who was not having 5,000 rupees, he asked either to reduce the amount, and he begged for mercy. He said that I'm sorry, I did not tell you about it before. I'm really sorry. He begged for mercy, and he even placed his turban. So turban is a symbol of respect in our society. So he even placed his turban in feet of Bishambar and requested him to please get married. Otherwise, if the marriage is broken today, nobody is going to marry her daughter. Anyways, also she was never going to be married, but they're going to even lose their respect in society. So if a girl's marriage is cancelled for any reason, that was a big issue, which is not nowadays, because we are moving towards westernization. We have started accepting things. So earlier it was a huge deal. So a girl would never even get married if once a marriage is being broken because of any reason. So clearly we can see here that it was not Bholi's fault. Bholi never wanted to get married. First of all, she was being forced, and now she again is being insulted because of her face, which is covered with marks. Now we see that at this point there is a complete change in the personality of Bholi. So Bholi finally now speaks, and she not only speaks normally but she speaks with a good flow and in a very confident manner. So everybody was shocked, surprised to see how is this the same girl who could never even speak a single word? What has actually happened which changed her personality completely? Now Bholi refused to marry a greedy widower. She refused that she'll not get married to a greedy widower who is so greedy that he was looking for a chance to ask for money. And it is not that if he is asking for money today, maybe even after her marriage, he'll be asking for more money, which her parents or her father obviously would not be able to afford. So that's why she just calls off the marriage. She says, I'll not get married to such greedy person. And this is the first time in the whole story, throughout from the beginning, we see that Bholi spoke her heart out for the first time and with full confidence. Now her teacher was also present in that ceremony and she was also seeing it, and she was so proud of her that finally she is able to speak, and not just speak, she is speaking for her own rights. She knows very well what is good and what is bad, which most of the people of her village is not able to understand. That's why people of the village accused her of being so shameless. She rejected marriage proposal because she thinks that the marriage proposal is not marriage was not fit for her. That's why people are blaming her that she is such a shameless girl who has no manners at all. That she is speaking in front of so many people. Now, out of this, Ramlal could not lift his head due to shame and grief and asks Bholi who will marry her. Now, at this point, we see that Ramlal is in great shock, though he is happy that his daughter is able to speak now properly, but he is in great shock. And out of that shock, he is not even able to lift his head because he feels that his respect has been taken away from him because the marriage has been cancelled off as Bishambar has left. But Ramlal could not lift his head up because of shame, because of all the shame and disrespect which has happened on that particular day, and asked Bholi who will marry her. He says, now who is going to marry you? There was only one good marriage proposal that Ramlal could bring for Bholi, and that too Bholi has rejected. So he was very much in grief that what will happen again? Now what will be the future of her? Of his daughter. Now Bholi replied that she will take care of her parents and would teach in school. So at this point Bholi gives a very, very beautiful answer. She says that she need not to get married. She does not need a man to take care of her. She can take care of her own self in a very beautiful way, which her parents also need to understand. She said that she'll not only take care of her own self but also her parents. She said that I'll take care of my parents. I will, though I am a girl, I'll try to be a boy and be responsible enough, and I'll not just take care of my parents but also she would teach in school. She'll be teaching in school whatever she has learned, whatever she has acquired, knowledge she has acquired from her teacher, she will be teaching that the same pattern in school. And that is what she has decided her future to be. She did not want a normal life where everybody is getting married and having a life. She wanted a different lifestyle where she will become a teacher, she will become a motivation for other people, and she would go and teach other kids in the school. Now, teacher who was watching this felt proud. Obviously, it was her teacher who gave her such a good upbringing, who gave her a lot of confidence that she could actually come out and fight for good and bad. So that's why her teacher who was watching all this from the beginning of her marriage ceremonies, so she felt very proud. She felt so good that now all the hard work of the teacher has finally paid off, and she has made a simple girl into a very brave and bold girl.